We are delighted today to present to you a professional development session on student accessibility. And our guest this morning, our expert is Michelle Shaw, who is the director of the FAU Student Accessibility Services. She is an adjunct in the College of Education, and she is also the president of the Florida Association of Higher Ed and Disability. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Michelle. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Judy. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share some of my knowledge to all of the faculty. So I'm just going to give you just an overview today of some tools that are available to all faculty, student, and staff on campus. And I'm going to just show you a couple of techniques of things that you can do to make sure that your course is accessible. So I'm going to go to the next slide. All right, so if none of you have never heard of this, so again, my name is Michelle Shaw, I'm the Director for Student Accessibility Services. And if you don't know what our office does, our biggest thing is to make sure that the university itself stays compliant in providing reasonable accommodations to students with disabilities. And so we fall under a bunch of different laws with that. So our big one is Section 504 and Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act on accessibility. The Americans with Disabilities Act as amended from 2008. And our biggest part of this is our collaboration with our faculty and staff to make sure that we are collaborating together to make sure to provide that equal access for our students. And that is our big piece, is working with you guys to make sure that everything that you have in your courses is equally accessible for our students. So this could be for our students that are blind, low vision, are deaf and hard of hearing. Even some of our students that have what we call our invisible disabilities sometimes need additional accommodations that may take a little bit of work between you and I. So let me go to the next slide. So I want to show you a little tool, and I'm going to share my screen in a minute. In Word has really upped their game in the last couple years. I've been going to their free webinar they do every May, and they call it the Accessibility Summit or Accessibility Conference. And their goal is to try to make sure their products are fully accessible. And they hire a ton of individuals with disabilities on their teams to work on some of these things. And this past year, they introduced the accessibility checker, which is available in Word, Outlook, PowerPoint, and Excel. And it kind of helps guide you on how to make an accessible document. I also wanted to introduce a few other things that they have that sometimes we don't necessarily think about. And that's looking at like things such as color contrast, looking at the type of font we use and the size of that font, and also the reading order in the pane of the particular document. You will see there's read aloud and there's check accessibility. These are two of the features that you can utilize. I want to show you the check accessibility piece first. So I'm going to click on that. And over on the side here, it's going to tell me what are the problems with this particular document. There's also a little checkbox down here at the bottom. If you click that on, it's going to be running all the time while you're working on a document. So it's going to alert you when something is missing. So I can click on the first one. It says missing alternative text. So if I click on that, it's telling me that this is a picture and it's not accessible. So if a screen reader is reading this, all it's going to see is image because he doesn't know exactly what it is. He just knows it's an image. And so we can add what we call an alternative text to it. And there's a little arrow that you could drop down and you can add a description. So I could have it try to generate a description. I'd say don't use that. Whatever you do, they're usually pretty bad. I've rarely seen it where it's come close. You're just better writing your own description in there. If it was just like a fancy line, we could mark it as decorative and it would tell the reader with the screen reader decorative. But this is our logo. So I just type in here, this is FAU logo, and that's all they need to know. And so that's going to automatically enter that for me. So the other issue is you'll see where it says no header. This is the table, and we all make this error. So again, it gives you a drop down and it tells you what to fix. So I'm going to click on use first row as header. And what it does is it's going to fix this. You can also go, if you click on it, you can click on your grid. And what you want to make sure is you click on your header reader right here. If it's not clicked, it's going to show no header. And what that means is when the screen reader is reading it, it's not going to know the order of which to read it in. And so it might get stuck on just keep reading the assessment, because it doesn't know to go to the next item. So if you're ever putting in a table, like sometimes we have in our syllabi, we have our grades, just make sure, just double click on it, on the little box. This will pop up and just make sure you click on header row. And then that way it's going to read perfectly for you. You see right now it says there's no accessibility issues. It's saying this for reading purposes only. So using a reading software. So let me just show you how that works. This is the one that's built in to Microsoft already. It's called Read Aloud. It's a little robotic, but it does the job. So I can click on that. Click really. Oh.
Affairs and Enrollment Management. Deans and Directors Weekly Meeting. Monday, March 21st, 2022. Microsoft Teams. COVID-19 updates. VP Strategic updates. Civil Discourse Katie. How to FA Task Force updates Katie.
So I'm going to stop it there. So you see how it's reading. So the accessibility piece is look at it as a reading software. It's accessibility friendly at the moment. But I purposely put a couple of other problems in here. One is, if you can see this piece here, it's a lighter font than the rest. This is what we call poor contrast. So somebody that's got low vision or somebody that may have a learning disability, this is sometimes very difficult for them to understand those contrasts on a document. And so we always want to make sure that we use the cleanest contrast we can possibly have. So doing like white on blue, like dark blue and with white, not a light blue, because that's not going to come across very well. So I'm just going to go in there right now and change my font color to make sure that it's black, because that's the clearest one that I can do. The other thing to look at is right now, the fonts don't seem to bother, the average individual, but for students that have learning disabilities and written expression, sometimes they have a really hard time delineating between a B and a D or a P and a Q and some of the other letters. And when you had what we call a non-sans serif font, those are the fonts that have what we call the curly cues on them. So they're a little fancier. And we have a tendency to use that when we're making flyers and things like that. But those are like the worst fonts to use for our students. So we always say use sans serif fonts. So that could be something like Arial, Calibri, Tahoma. Those are what we call disability friendly fonts. So I'm going to go in right now and I'm going to change this, because right now you'll see these are Times Roman numeral. Times Roman numeral is a non-sans serif font. So we try not to use that. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that to Calibri, because that's a better font for our students. The other piece is the size of the font. Sometimes we try to cram way too much onto one item. And the best thing is not to do that, number one, because we want to make sure that the students can actually read the information. And I know for myself, over the last 2 years with COVID, I've actually had to get readers because I noticed my eyesight was not doing so well than it used to. And I think it was because of, the computer mostly, but I'm getting older. So what I would do is like right now, these are a 10 font. That's too small. Like the minimum they say is it should be 12, but some of our students that have low vision, and this is going to depend on when they started to lose their vision. So some students with visual impairments don't know Braille because they've become visually impaired later in life. And some of them really are visual, which sounds kind of crazy when you're talking about a visual disability, but they like to see the material. They don't want to hear it because they're not used to having that auditory information as somebody that was maybe born unable to see. And so for our students, they want to see this information themselves, but in order to see it, I have to blow up the font for them. So some of our students with low vision may be at 18 font, 20 font, all the way up. I think I have one student that was up to like 28 font. But that's the student can adjust that on a Word document themselves. But if you are putting something out there and you want it for the masses, just make sure it's a sans serif font. So looking at the Calibri, Arial, Tahoma. Those are good friendly ones. And make sure that the minimum size is 12. You can go higher if you want, but don't go any lower than 12. So that I wanted to show you that particular piece. There's another really neat feature because sometimes we as individuals, because we're busy, we need accommodations too. Another good feature that's in Word is Dictate. And I don't know if any of you have ever used this, but it's amazing. I'm going to click on it. And what happens is as I talk, it is going to type for me, period. When I've got a ton of case notes to write up about the students that I work with, I will use Dictate so that I can get all of the information out so I can then copy and paste into their file, period. It's spooky good, period. I'm going to stop that. So I know for yourselves, you guys are busy as faculty members. This may be an accommodation for yourself that you could utilize in order to be able to get the information down that you need to get out. Sometimes you got to go in and do some minor edits, but just to be able to get that information out, it's just saves so much more time. Because I know for me, my brain works way faster than my fingers do on my keyboard. So this is just a quick way for me to get my work done in an efficient manner. So that's the fun features. And I know there's probably more coming soon. They have their conferences coming up, I believe the first week of May of this year. So there's probably going to have some more fun stuff coming out as well.
Okay, so we do have one question about Dictate that you spoke fairly slowly. Can you speak faster, and will it still be relatively accurate?
So I could do that. We will try. I'm just used to talking like that to the computers.
Yeah.
Let me try. So I'm going to try talking faster. Whoops, it did work.
Okay. So
Let me come down here. I'll try it again. I am going to try to talk faster so that we can see how accurate it is.
all right. Cool.
It trains to your voice. So if you have a little bit of an accent, it will get used to your accent after a while. I know for the longest time I used to say the word um, accommodations and it used to come up accommodate, but it's doing much better now. When I say the word accommodations, it says the word accommodations.
Oh, that's great.
So it does learn from you. And
Nice.
they keep updating it as we go. So I
Yeah.
know they make it really,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
in that respect.
I have a question regarding that event you were talking about
Mhm.
that Microsoft sponsors. Is that open to just anybody?
It's open to anybody that wants to do it. So if you want, I will find it in my email and I'll share it to you and then you can share it with the group.
Absolutely. We
But
would, that would be wonderful because it sounds like it would be a good opportunity for us. Thank you.
it's usually 2 days and it's on California time. But they
Okay.
have people from around the world, which is what makes it really, really cool. I know last year we had people from Australia. There were people presenting in South Africa, from United Kingdom. So it was really kind of cool. And I think there was also someone from Brazil, I remember, on there too, doing a presentation. So it was really good. The other feature too, if you haven't used it or not, there's subtitles available in PowerPoint so that you can put captions in your PowerPoint if you want to make your PowerPoint that way. I could do a whole session on that one. So, and I do have a pre-made video that I can also share if anybody's interested in learning how to do that. I don't want to take all the time up showing. Um, there's another one called Math Help in OneNote. And right now it's really only in OneNote. I see it pop up in Word, but it doesn't work like it does in OneNote. So this comes in really handy. Like I've been working with one of my students who has a math learning disability, and he's in um, intermediate algebra, and we've been working in there. It's not perfect, but it's something to help our students with that struggle in the area of math. And again, I can do a whole session on using the math help, and I'm hoping that moving forward they're going to have a better version, because I think sometimes for our students they got to see the steps on how a math equation is filled out, and especially with algebra, if you're very rigid thinking, which is a lot of our students are on the spectrum, are very like, it's got to be like step one, step two, step three. If you just go, here it is, and here's the answer, they don't get it. You've got to show them why. Otherwise, they're going to keep saying, well, I don't understand. I need to know why. And so it's a really good way to show them through those steps. So again, that could be a whole nother session that I could do on that one. All right. So closed captioning. So this is another area that we see faculty struggle with. Like we do try to help faculty do the captioning for videos. Like this semester, we're doing a whole bunch of videos for introductory statistics, and we're also doing them for health science classic is HSC 2100. So we're captioning those because we have a student that's deaf that are in those particular courses. And so we tell faculty, you have to have closed captioning, even if you don't have somebody that's in your class right now that is deaf and hard of hearing. You may have a student that the way that they process information is different than the standard students. It's also really good if you have an individual where English is not their first language. Closed captioning really helps those students too. So it's kind of a really good universal design of learning to put those captions in there. And there's two types of captioning too. We have open captioning and closed captioning. So we ask faculty to do closed captioning, but a lot of times when we do videos, we do open captions. And the difference to that is the closed captions can be shut off. Open captions cannot. It's permanently on there. We started putting in permanent captions when we're doing the videos because what we noticed was happening was the faculty were forgetting to turn on the closed captioning. So it was the video, the captions were there, but the student couldn't see them because the faculty kept forgetting to put them on. So we just started doing open captioning, so they're always on there. And we did the same thing for this for videos for orientation as well, because that happened with orientation. And I got a little irritated because I captioned, I think it was 13 videos, and they played them without the captions. So I was like, that's it. From now on, it's open caption only. So we just say that's one thing. If you have closed captionings on it, the big thing is to make sure to click on the CC to put the captions on, because we make sure that the student has that equal access. And videos are really, really easy to do. I mean, when we first started doing captionings way back when, it was not as good, not as easy to do. But we found all kinds of tools and bells and whistles that we can do it with now. And we do, there's different methods, let's put it this way. So sometimes we get an MOV video, and MOV videos are not as good as an MP4 video for when it comes to captioning. We did find a converter, and I have it listed here on the PowerPoint, that can convert an MOV to an MP4 video. The only problem is if it's a long video, it will not convert for us. So we have to make sure we get the MP4 version, and the person that created the video can do that. But us
Yeah.
receiving the video cannot do that.
And Michelle, just to let you know, your comment about doing the captioning, we have a thank you from Professor Migdal for doing the one for her for last semester.
My pleasure, Michelle. We work really well together last last semester. Um, so MP4s are the best. And then if you've already created a transcript, because sometimes we know faculty won't make their own video and they create a transcript, so they want to make sure that they say everything they want to say in the video. That's a great start for doing captioning because we can use the transcript to add the captioning to a video. But if you don't have a transcript, I'm going to share another resource that we use. So let me just hit share again. So this is my studio. This is where you can upload a video into YouTube, and that's just standard for any kind of video. But I'm going to show you a couple of examples. So we have this one right here. This was one we just did last week. So this was a lecture for health science. It was almost 35 minutes long. We upload the video into YouTube and we just let it do its thing. And it depends on how long the video is. It depends on how long it's going to take to give us a transcript. So there's a little box called subtitles. If you click on subtitles, right in here, it's already given us a transcript. And so what we could do is we can click on it, and I want to continue, and it's already got this transcript already built in. And so what we can do is we can go in, watch the video, and edit, because it's not going to be 100%, but we need to edit it. Once we've gone through the whole video and edit it, we can actually download a copy of this. So I'm gonna hit save really quick, and I'm gonna close. And so now right here, there's three little dots. It says options. If you click on that, I can download. And so for captioning, the one thing that you need is SRT files. So there's these other two files, but for purposes of captioning, it's an SRT file. So we just download the SRT file. So now we have an MP4, we have our SRT file, and now we can add captions to the video. Super easy. Well, we have an appliance that we can do that with. It's called DocSoft. Unfortunately, the company we bought it from is no longer in existence. So once this thing dies, we're done. But for right now, it works. So we're touching wood to make sure it doesn't break. We have been looking for other alternatives because what DocSoft does is it adds the open captions to our videos for us. If you don't need open captions for your course, you just want to make sure you have the transcripts and you're going to swear to make sure you click on CC, you can just use this video. It's already got the captions built in. But for our purposes, we now put in open captions. So I can play this video out of my studio and it's going to have, it's going to have the captions. You just have to make sure when we go to play it. That's pretty much how we do the caption. See, right now there's no timing codes in here. We have to have timing codes with the captions.
Hi, we're moving on with our business problem scenario. And now we're going to be informing about this problem. And you will be providing an informative presentation to your managers.
So you guys can see that okay? So that kind of gives you an easy, quick way of doing the videos. We use this a lot.
We also have another question. Are these things that you're referencing available, listed on the website, or where do we find the videos that you have created? And then she also says, is there a link on the SAS website to the videos?
So we do have some videos on our website. The videos that we create for the faculty, I share those videos with the faculty only,
Right.
and the student. But I do have some videos that I made during COVID that shows you how to do the YouTube, and it shows you how to do the transcripts in the subtitles in PowerPoint and things like that. So I will share those with you. I have those on my Google Drive. I don't have them on the website. I just usually send them to faculty when they need them. And the DocSoft, if you ever need to learn how to use that, again, we can do a training for you how to use it as long as we have it. I've done some research and I found a couple of other resources available online. But again, it's the size of the video that's limited on what we can do on that piece. So that's still something we're investigating. And I'm hoping when we go to our national conference in July, for the first time in person in 2 years, that I'm hoping there's more new stuff available that I can see if I can find that.
And we do have another question. We do have another question from Dr. Gomez. Great resources. Thank you. I do team projects as part of my courses and wonder whether you have any suggestions as to how we can enhance the experience of students with limitations when they work with their peers. I guess we could inform them about some of these resources, but I'm curious if you have other suggestions.
I think if you had like maybe all of the class, if they have to do like a video project, have all the class make it with captioning, because then
Yeah.
we're getting, it's going to be good for all of the students. It's going to be,
Absolutely.
a training for everyone, and it's something that they can take moving forward that's going to help somebody somewhere.
No kidding. Yes,
And
definitely.
I can't watch a video anymore without captions. I've just gotten so programmed. Like when it's not on, it drives my husband nuts. But I'm like, oh, I need my captions. And I'm not hard of hearing. I've got radar hearing sometimes.
I think of all the things that I've heard recently, I think this presentation is really, really helpful. Just my thoughts on when I see students recording lessons or directions or any part of a lesson, it seems that when the students present the recordings, they listen more intently than when I do it myself. Somehow they have a different vibe with the students. And I was thinking if they summarize the notes, the way they interpret them, and then before we publish them and they're reviewed by the instructor, it could be that they would streamline possibly what the message is. I just find that whenever I ask a student to do a recording, and I usually use Flipgrid, they're watching more intently than when I do it. They're more talented for these productions than I am.
Hey, I mean, I've not heard of that, but if it seems to be working, I would say try it out and see.
Yeah.
Because I think, you've got to get a feel for it. It might have been a one-off, but it might not. It might just be that it works better that way. So I like
that was just my thought, because we do
Yeah.
use Flipgrid on a regular basis. And I always require that students tell me what the instructions are. And it's always up to no more than 10 minutes. So it's a quick synopsis, but I can get back to them when I have 25 students. I can get back and say, I heard you say something on that assignment, and I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
So even
Yeah.
if I give the directions, sometimes they're interpreted differently.
Gotcha.
And we do know that students often tend to really get things in a better perspective when they hear it from one of their peers. Who knows?
I don't know.
Agreed.
So this is another piece of software that we have that I wrote a grant for. We use it a lot for students, but I have given a couple of accounts to faculty. This is another great way of getting your notes for creating captioning for a video. So I'm just going to start recording really quick. So what happens is as I talk, it's going to capture what I'm saying. This is really good for students that have difficulty taking their own notes, because it not only gives them an audio version of the notes, but it also gives them a transcript at the end. It's not 100% perfect, but the students can make it perfect by going back in and editing it. So let me just hit stop. So it usually takes it a few minutes to process through. This is a short one, and it's already done. So I can click on it now, and I can click on keywords and find those words that are in the thing, which is really good when it's like an hour and a half lecture. But what we like about it is I can download this because it's already got time codes built in. I can download it. So what happens is as I talk, it's going to capture what I'm saying. This is really good for, so it's really good. So it's a great process. Oh, you know why? It's still processing my conversation. Let me go back. I'll pick this one. I was using as a demonstration for a student. So I can go in and I can edit wherever I need to edit. So the student can do that, but I can export it. Come on. And you can export it to a PDF, a TXT file, a docs, or an SRT. And the SRT is what I need because that's going to put in the time codes for me for a video. So we have that available too. So if there's a faculty member that has a lot of videos and they want to try doing it themselves, we can create an account for them as well. So the accounts have to be used every semester because I pay per account. So if you get the account and you're not using it, then I'm going to take it away from you. And I'm going to give it to somebody else because I think I have 99 accounts of this that I use. So let me go back.
You are just loaded with cool tools, Michelle. Wonderful.
I am always in a hunt for tools, and the free ones are the best. But if I have to pay for some, I'll do that too. So I'm going to show you one other available tool that is available to all faculty, and I'll show you where the videos are too. So let me come in here. So this is for the alternative format. So for example, we see a lot of inaccessible image files. Like sometimes we'll copy over a document and save it as a PDF, but we save it as an image file. That's not readable with a screen reader. So that takes out any student that's visually impaired and any student that has a learning disability when it comes to reading. So this is a really good portal. It's free. And what you can do is you just can upload a file. And I'll just show you how quick and easy it is. Let me find a file here. We'll do this cover letter. Okay, well, normally I upload the file. It asks me what type of file I would like back. And then try a different one. And then depending on how big the video is, it will send it back to me, usually within 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the size of the file. But you can choose it to be in Braille. It can be an MP3. It can also be a readable PDF, which is what most of our students are going to have. So we do have, there's a tutorial link here and a video on how to do it right here on the website. And then if you go on to technology, we have some technology trainings. If you click on that, the first part is more for our students because it's how to use our portal and LiveScribe pens. But further down here, we have all of those, the accessibility checker, the dictate, math assistant, Microsoft Translator, read aloud, PowerPoint subtitles, they're all here. So you can watch the video and there's a handout that goes with it. And this is a handout for using Otter AI with the videos as well. There's Google Live Transcribe. Another good one is Speech Notes. This is one, it's free. It's speechnotes.co. Similar to Dictate, you talk to it and it writes for you, and then you can copy and paste. So that's another one that's out there that's free. We're always looking for free. And then if you're really curious, we also have Read and Write. This is available to any faculty, student, or staff at the university. We wrote a grant for this as well. And you can download it onto your computer, and it's a screen reader. It will basically read to you. You can highlight certain sections. You can look up a definition, a pronunciation, and you can also add voice notes. Our students really love this to go over like reading material for a class, put in their notes, and then they can download the parts that were important that they've highlighted to like a study guide for their exams. So this is another really good one. And there is tutorials available on how to do this as well. That would be a whole nother session in itself for this purpose today. So we have Canvas Ally. You may have already seen it popping up. in your Canvas. We've been working on this. We were able to get funding to pay for it. I've had a pilot group of 12 faculty members that I've been working with since fall, and they're amazing. And we've been working on checking it out and seeing how it works, but it's going to be coming into your Canvas classes beginning for summer and fall. And I don't want you guys to freak out and be scary. But most of our sister universities here, the state of Florida, already have this. Not all, but most. And it's a really good universal designed piece of software. It's an app, basically, that's in our Canvas accounts. So what this is all the way down on the bottom of the course, there's what we call an accessibility report. And it's going to let you know how accessible your course is. And so right now you see mine's at 76%, and it's telling me I've got 221 items that need fixes. This is easy fixes. And I have 138 that are low scoring that I need to work on. A lot of these are to do with it's an image file, or it doesn't have the alternative text to tell you what the image is. Sometimes it's a lot of times it's like our syllabus. It doesn't like the grid for the scoring for grades for the courses. Lots of those kinds of things. And this will be a whole nother session in itself. But I want to show you the student side of things. So let me go home real quick. I'm going to go to student view. The students don't see that. That's for you guys only as faculty. The students, what happens for them is they can download a file, but what it does, because of Ally, they can download alternative formats. This is not going to change your content. It's only going to take the material that you have and convert it. So it can convert to a tag PDF, an HTML, an EPUB, electronic braille. This is like amazing. An audio MP3, and then a Beeline reader. We don't have a lot of students that use that, but it's available. What we found is we have not only our students, but we have a lot of students that are working full time. They may be taking care of their own family or elderly parents, and they're really busy, but they've got time between going from school to work or from work to school, and they have time. They can convert, say, a document for your course and listen to it while they're driving in the car or while they're working out at the gym. It just gives all of these extra possibilities, and it's going to be geared towards what they learn best with. So they get to choose which one that they want to use. And it's pretty easy because all you have to do is download, and it's going to do it all for us. You don't have to do anything. It's going to do it all. The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't capture videos. I've already had a few people ask me that question, but it doesn't do that piece. But it's really going to be cool, and I'm hoping to get some opportunity to come into your different staff meetings and share with you guys, so that way you can see, what the possibilities are. So let me just go back here because I know we're going to be ending, but
Yes.
I know you're going to get this video. I put some screenshots on there for it. But these are the resources I already just showed you on our website that you'll have. And I have my contact information, including my own personal cell number, because if I've got a faculty in need, I want to know. But I always tell them, text me first, because if I'm with a student, I will not answer my phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, that's a lot of info.
Yeah, this has been incredible. And when we get off of here, I will reach back out to you to see about what else you would be available. I'm sure you're in great demand, but we would love to be able to share more of this with you. And yes, we have comments from our audience about how helpful this has been for us. So this has been a wealth of information. It's just my head is swimming with all of it. So thank you so much for joining this, and we will connect with you to see what we can, what else we can add in. Thank you so much, Michelle.
My
And thanks
pleasure.
everyone for joining us today.